Urgent Commanders fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Commanders news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. 5 ideal targets Commanders fans should be begging for on Day 2 of 2025 NFL Draft. There are several prospects who could intrigue the Commanders on Day 2. Washington Commanders fans waited a long time to find out what Adam Peters would do to begin the 2025 NFL Draft. The general manager entertained trade calls, but opted to stand pat at number 29 overall after intense discussions. To the surprise of some, Josh Conerly Jr. was the pick. The Commanders traded for 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle Laramie Tunsil this offseason after striking a deal with the Houston Texans. That didn't stop Peters from identifying the Oregon edge protector as someone who can fit into their long-term plans. It probably upset some on the offensive line depth chart, but the general manager wants to raise competition across the board. Trading down would have been wise, even if Peters acknowledged the chance to take Conerly was too difficult to turn down with others lurking. There were plenty of surprises on Day 1. This all began with the Jacksonville Jaguars surging to number 2 overall for two-way phenom Travis Hunter, and ended with the Philadelphia Eagles trading places with the Kansas City Chiefs for linebacker Jihad Campbell. One can expect more of the same frantic activity over the second and third rounds. The Commanders only have one Day 2 pick at their disposal, currently number 61 overall. It'll be a nervous waiting game, but here are 5 ideal targets fans should be begging to fall into Washington's lap. Ideal Commanders targets on Day 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft. Commanders could draft Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State Cyclones. The Commanders could add to the weapons around quarterback Jaden Daniels on Day 2. Surrounding the signal caller with everything needed to thrive has been the primary objective above all else this offseason. Adam Peters going against the grain to draft Josh Conerly Jr. is another prime example. Peters wants to take the best prospects available regardless of need. He wants competition and heightened standards within each position group. If wide receiver Jaden Higgins falls and the Commanders have him high on their board, one couldn't completely rule out the possibility. Higgins is a matchup nightmare at 6'4" with the speed to match. He's a Crips route runner with assured hands and outstanding body control. This offers an extra level of explosiveness and size that few in Washington's wideout room possess currently. Perhaps only Noah Brown comes close from a physical standpoint. There's a chance Higgins is gone by the time Washington goes on the clock. If not, it warrants a discussion despite the desperate need for defensive reinforcements. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Commanders news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Ex-Washington star running back arrested. For drunk driving, former Washington Redskins running back Adrian Peterson was arrested for drunk driving after attending an NFL draft party in Minneapolis. NFL 5th all-time leading rusher and former Washington Redskins running back Adrian Peterson was arrested Friday morning in Minnesota and charged with misdemeanor 4th-degree driving while impaired. Peterson had attended the Minnesota Vikings public draft party Thursday night at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis and was pulled over while driving 83 mph in a 55 mph zone. State Patrol Lieutenant Mike Lee told the Minnesota Star-Tribune that a trooper administered a preliminary breath test that measured his blood alcohol content at 14%. The legal limit for driving in Minnesota is 8%. He was received into custody at 5:16 a.m. CST and released on a $4,000 bond at 7:31 a.m. CST. His court date is May 9th. Peterson had a 15-year NFL career playing for 7 teams, including the Redskins, for 2 seasons. In 31 games from 2018-19 on 2 bad teams coached by Jay Gruden, he rushed for 1,740 yards and 12 touchdowns. His career total rushing yards of 14,918 ranked behind only Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Frank Gore, and Barry Sanders. He retired in 2021. This is the latest in a number of incidents Peterson, now 40, has been involved in over the years, including domestic violence, child abuse, and financial issues. Commanders' first-round React survey. Grading the first-round pick poll question. While many fans expected the Commanders to either trade back from the 29th overall pick or take the best defensive player available with good odds on edge rusher. And cornerback Adam Peters instead opted to draft an offensive tackle, 21-year-old Josh Conerly Jr. out of Oregon. This was not wholly unanticipated. In the Pick 5 draft prediction contest here on Hogs Haven, 25 of the 67 entrants scored points by listing Connerly as a likely draft pick on their entries. The selection of Connerly demonstrates that the front office has clear priorities and plans. For the draft, Connerly may need a bit of time to build NFL strength, and he should have as much time as he needs, with no pressure to have to start immediately for the Commanders, but having every opportunity to do so if he can win the battle. For the starting spot, there will be competition at the right tackle spot in training camp, with Connerly seemingly likely to open the season as the backup to the winner of the competition between second-wire tackle Brandon Coleman and seven-wire veteran Andrew Wiley, with the loser likely moving to a guard position, but in Dan Quinn's competition-based culture, nothing is written in stone and every player will have an opportunity to win a job. In his Thursday night press conference, Adam Peters said that the only TG spot he believed is locked down is Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, and confirmed that Connerly, Coleman, and Wiley are all capable of playing both guard and tackle. Peters also talked about how Connerly went toe-to-toe with Abdul Carter, who is the best pass rusher in the draft. He did well against a lot of really good players. Having traded for LT Laramie Tunsil in March, Adam Peters is certainly sending a message that investing in the team's offensive line is an absolute priority. What looked like a thin and injury-affected unit, Sam Cosmas ACL in February, now looks much deeper and more talented. Adam Peters also confirmed in his Thursday press conference that Connerly was the highest-rated player on the board, and that as a group, they decided that with Connerly available at 29, they would not trade out of the draft slot. He also described how highly the Commanders' West Coast scout Paul Scansey spoke about Connerly during the college season. Peters opened up his press conference by saying this was a pick from the entire building, stressing how much the entire organization believes in the player. Now that you've had a minute to digest the draft pick and its potential implications for the Commanders roster, we offer you another opportunity to grade the pick. 2025 NFL Draft. Grades: the Washington Commanders get mixed grades for Josh Connerly Jr. pick draft grades. There is a long tradition of people giving draft picks a grade less than 24 hours after they've been made. Some of them are spot on after the players have shown who they are after a few years in the league, and some of them look pretty bad. A lot of graders get stuck on their personal rankings and will tank a player's selection because of that. How a player fits with a team, and their needs plays a big part here as well. A lot of people were expecting the Washington Commanders to either take a defensive player or trade down in the first round. Neither of those things happened, and GM Adam Peters picked the highest-rated player on their board, Oregon OT Josh Connerly Jr. This continues the team's efforts this offseason to improve the offensive line to protect franchise QB Jaden Daniels. We have grades from 25 NFL experts, and they range from A to D, Washington Commanders 2025 NFL Draft. Picks round 129, Josh Connerly Jr., OT, Oregon round 2, 61 round 4, via HOU 128 round 6, 205 round 7, from Den via PHI 245 Yahoo Sports Connerly. Could VE been drafted a whole lot higher than this, but for whatever reason fell to the end of the first round. Laramie Tunsil and Connerly will be massive upgrades for the Commanders at offensive tackle and gives them a chance to end up with top-tier bookends for a year or two. Player comparison. Michael Oher the Ringer. And this pick makes a ton of sense for the Commanders, who add a talented rookie opposite the newly acquired Laramie Tunsil. Connerly, my 21st ranked player, has a burly frame but light feet, blocking with good balance and recovery skills. He can start at right tackle early on and then give the team a long-term starter on the blind side. This is a nice boost for quarterback Jaden Daniels, Walter Football. The Redskins acquired Laramie Tunsil, but they still needed one more offensive lineman. They were rumored to like Tyler Booker, but Josh Connerly makes sense as well. Connerly is a very athletic lineman who can play tackle and guard. This versatility will definitely help the Redskins, and I'm sure Jaden Daniels will be happy about this. Sporting news. The Commanders could have considered pass rush, but instead further shored up their offensive line in front of Jaden Daniels. giving Laramie Tunsil a bookend and a strong run blocker to replace shaky former Chiefs right tackle Andrew Wiley. Fansided. Absolutely love the Commanders playing it smart after a pretty flashy offseason, reigniting the run game and giving Jayden Daniels more room is paramount, and Connerly with Tunsil can help do that. SB Nation BI wonder where the Commanders want to play him. With Laramie Tunsil coming over from Houston to play left tackle and Brandon Coleman having the versatility to play guard or tackle, Connerly could play either spot and use his athleticism and movement skills to get out in space. Protecting Jayden Daniels should be the top priority, and Connerly can play either spot. The 33rd team B positive solid athlete who will benefit from a move to right tackle. Great balance and ability to mirror defenders. Strong punch and pass protection keeps rushers. At Bay Negatives has to continue to gain play strength to help run game impact, can overcommit to the outside edge. So he may need some guard help until that's fixed. Handling bull rush can be an adventure due to a lack of anchor team fit. The Washington Commanders needed either a left tackle of the future or a challenger for Andrew Wiley at right tackle. Josh Connerly can be that. He needs some time to address his overall strength, but his athleticism and instincts are NFL ready. Picking Connerly over Josh Simmons could prove to be a bold move either way. Underdog Network B kick to RT with Tunsil. Developmental 21 Yo type. Cleveland.com BI would have taken Ohio State running. Back Trevayon Henderson here, but the Commanders decide to go tackle and select one of the more interesting ones in this class. Connerly was a player I liked because of how well he moves. He will need to get stronger, but learning behind Laramie, Tunsil will help him do that. The Athletic B. The Commanders have been hyper-aggressive addressing their offensive line this offseason. First by trading for offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, and now by fortifying the other side with Connerly. During the 2024 regular season, Connerly allowed just 4 hurries, 1 hit, and 1 sack, according to PFF, helping earn him first team All-Big. 10 honors. He also started his final 28 games for the Ducks. Once he refines his skills, Connerly could become a long-term starter. In the short term, he'll give Washington more protection for Jayden Daniels. Sports Illustrated B. Connerly was viewed by many as a borderline first-round pick, as one of the top 5 offensive tackles in the class. At Oregon, Connerly started 28 games over the past 2 years while being named first-team All-Big Ten and third-team All-American, projected to be a starter on the left side. He could kick inside down the line. Scouting report, Connerly has started at left tackle each of the past 2 years, but has experience protecting quarterbacks' blind and strong sides. Hez quick and smooth-footed in his kick slide as a pass protector, and when he wins the race to first contact, he's difficult to beat. Allowed only 1 sack in 2024. Connerly has enough strength to drive defensive ends out of rushing lanes and help spring big runs. The 6'5", 301-pounder struggles anchoring against power rushers and is only average in space. As a run blocker, Connerly has the requisite tools to play tackle, though he may need some seasoning before being thrown into the fire. USA Today, B-Many had pegged an edge rusher for Washington, but the Commanders passed up a few notable candidates there to take Connerly. Still, it's understandable that a team looking to safeguard Jayden Daniels and answer for the Eagles' unrelenting pass rush would want to keep adding top talent up front after trading for Laramie Tunsil earlier this offseason. Connerly can be eased in at right tackle before later taking over. For Brandon Coleman or Andrew Wiley, with the latter not signed beyond 2025, Pro Football Network. B. The Washington Commanders were a team many penciled in as an edge suitor, and they had several compelling options still on the board. However, instead of addressing the defense, the Commanders chose to solidify the other side of the trenches with Josh Connerly Jr. From a player and value standpoint, there's nothing wrong with the Connerly pick. He's a plus athlete with a natural feel for the technical elements of tackle play. He has smooth footwork, a light base, and active hands while matching. He also has an exceptional range as a blocker, in space. As long as he continues to build his play strength, Connerly should be able to fill in as a starter at right tackle. However, it's fair to question whether Washington truly needed this with Brandon Coleman, a similarly talented OT who sometimes flashed promise in his rookie campaign. The selection of Connerly suffocates Coleman's development, but it also amplifies the strengthening of the team's offensive line with Laramie Tunsil Jr. and insulates Jaden Daniels' protection. Fox Sports. Arguably the most athletic tackle in this class, his 10-yard split of 170 seconds led all blockers. Tested this year, Connerly possesses the elite feet that translate very well to the pass-happy NFL. He isn't quite as powerful as some of the other blockers of this class, projecting only outside, which limited his value to some. But for a club that just invested in Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, this selection is a terrific follow-up should Tunsil fail to live up to expectations for whatever reason, or if the Commanders aren't convinced Andrew Wiley isn't the long-term answer. At right tackle, Fox Sports BM not sure where Connerly will play right now for the Commanders, but this is a play for the future. Connerly is only 21 years old with so much room to grow into his body. His improvement over the final 6 games this season is the reason he's in the first round. NFL draft rumors. Washington continues to pour resources into the protection for QB Jaden Daniels, adding a first-round tackle after this offseason's blockbuster trade for LT Laramie Tunsil. Connerly is probably going to play on the right side, with the potential to kick over to the left once Tunsil's time in Washington is done. Has incredibly athletic for a tackle and a promising pass protector, but he needs time in the NFL to get stronger and improve his technique. There could be some growing pains. There's a ton of upside. However, Athlon Sports Bevan, after trading for a high-quality starter at left tackle in Laramie Tunsil earlier in the offseason, the Commanders invest even further in protecting Jaden Daniels with a high-upside blocker who flashed a ton of potential. At that same position for the Ducks, there's plenty of room to grow when it comes to technique and consistency for Connerly, but the building blocks are there for him to develop into a franchise player down the road. Taking him over Ohio State's Josh Simmons is an intriguing decision that will be interesting to follow over the next few years, but it's hard to argue with. More help for this offensive line, let alone at the most premium positions. Newsweek B. The Commanders traded for offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil and now solidify the other side with Connerly. Connerly is coming off an excellent season for the Ducks. He possesses good pass protection potential skills with great athleticism and recovery skills, but his game could still use some refinement. CBS Sports BHE's a player I thought would go in the first round, and the Commanders need more help up front on their offensive line. They won't be forced to rush him if he's not ready, but he has the talent to develop into a quality player. Not flashy, but solid pick. Pro Football Focus average a 2-year starter for the Oregon Ducks at left tackle. Connerly allowed just 2 sacks the past 2 years. He graded above the 75th percentile in all grading facets, including a 78.1 true pass, set pass blocking grade in 2024. Connerly shows good athleticism for the position, displaying quick and explosive feet. He doesn't need to immediately start after the Commanders traded for Laramie Tunsil this offseason, but he could slide into guard and be very effective. NFL.com after trading for Laramie Tunsil and moving Brandon Coleman to the right side to compete with Andrew Wiley at tackle. The Commanders took Connerly to bolster their offensive line. Connerly is as solid as they come at left tackle, winning with balance and agility on the edge. He can block in zone systems or provide the power to move his man on run plays. Connerly was a fine value at this spot, but so was Josh Simmons, whom the Chiefs selected at no 31. The Commanders had more pressing needs to address, and they have just 4 picks over the next 2 days. Bleacher Report CS Strength's fluid pass protector beats defenders to his spot, nimble feet, lateral movement, weaknesses lacks power, wall-off run blocker. During Jaden Daniels' collegiate career, he often looked like a crash test dummy. His aggressive nature as a runner and unwillingness to slide subjected him to some monster hits from defenders. The Washington Commanders seem to have coaxed that out of him to a degree, but they further bolstered the protection for their young quarterback by selecting Oregon's Josh Connerly Jr. with the no 29 overall pick. Washington already traded for Laramie Tunsil earlier this offseason to take over at left tackle. Connerly thus should compete to start at right tackle, even though he only started on the left side in college. If Connerly proves to be comfortable on the strong side, Andrew Wiley can slide inside to start or provide excellent depth. Whatever the case, the Commanders are definitely better in the trenches than they were to start the offseason. Play strength is an undefinable trait that's vital for an offensive lineman. Someone like Connerly, who excels in so many areas, will likely still struggle to a degree as he tries to improve his play strength in the NFL. Connerly has excellent movement skills and looks natural on an island at left tackle. He moves his feet well, redirects, disrupts counters, and plays well. In space, however, he can set a soft post leg as a pass protector and isn't a drive blocker in the run game. For the Wincy, Brandon Coleman showed signs of competence as a rookie. Laramie Tunsil just arrived via trade.